How are you guys doing? Today is Thursday, July 29th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Wednesday, July 28th, and of course, I'm going to preview everything going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. One thing worth noting tonight is the 2021 NBA draft, and once that's done, of course, I'm going to load at least the first round, how the first round shaped out, and another episode tomorrow. But without further ado, I'm going to jump into the MLB because that's the only league that is currently in season at the moment. Starting off in Cleveland, the Cleveland Indians hosted the St. Louis Cardinals and were able to pull up a 7-2 win at home, scoring all 7 of their runs between the second and fourth innings. For the St. Louis Cardinals in this matchup, the start and the loss went to Kwang Hyun Kim. Kim would allow 5 earned runs in 2.2 innings pitched as he struck out none. With this loss, he's now 6-6 on the year, and in their batting lineup, their right fielder Dylan Carlson would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. He hit his 11th home run of the season. The only other player with more than 1 hit on the team was their future Hall of Fame catcher Yadier Molina, as he went 2 for 4 with an RBI. For Cleveland, the start and the win went to Zach Plesac. He allowed 2 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this win, he is now 6-3 on the season. In the Cleveland batting lineup, their second baseman, Cesar Hernandez, would go 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run. He hit his 18th home run of the season. Their elite designated hitter, Jose Ramirez, would go 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he would go on to hit his 22nd home run of the season. And then their right fielder, Franmil Reyes, would go 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 18th and 19th home runs of the year. With this win, the Cleveland Indians are now 50-49. That is the second best record in the American League Central. They have now won 4 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Chicago White Sox by 8.5 games in the division. And at the moment, they currently trail the Oakland Athletics for the second American League wildcard spot by 5 games, alongside the LA Angels. With this loss, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 51-51. That is the third best record in the National League Central. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 8 games in the division. Jumping out to Minneapolis, the Minnesota Twins hosted their division rivals, the Detroit Tigers, and the Tigers would pull off a 17-4 road win as the Tigers scored 8 of their 17 in the 4th inning. For the Minnesota Twins, the start and the loss went to J.A. Happ. J.A. Happ allowed 9 earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 2. With this loss, he's 5-6 on the year. In the Twins batting lineup, their second baseman, Jorge Polanco, would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs, as Polanco would hit his 15th home run of the season. The Minnesota Twins left fielder Brent Rooker would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs as he hit his 4th home run of the season. Their first baseman, Miguel Sano, would go 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 16th and 17th home runs of the season. Their third baseman, Willians Astudillo, would go 3 for 6 with 2 runs. Their center fielder, Nick Gordon, would end up going 2 for 5 with a run. And then their catcher, who in this matchup was Ryan Jeffers, would end up going 2 for 3 with 6 RBIs and 2 runs, as Jeffers hit his 7th and 8th home runs of the season for Minnesota. For the Detroit Tigers, the start went to Willie Peralta. He allowed 6 earned runs in 3.1 innings pitched as he struck out 1. The win went to the Tigers' the second relief pitcher on the day, Derek Holland. Holland allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 1. With this win, Holland is now 2-2 on the season. In the Tigers batting lineup, their left fielder, Akil Baddoo, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their center fielder for the day, Derek Hill, would end up going 3 for 6 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Their third baseman, Jeimer Candelario, will go 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. Their second baseman, Willie Castro, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Their first baseman, Harold Castro, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. And then their catcher on the day, Grayson Greiner, would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. With this win, the Detroit Tigers are now 49-55. That is the third best record in the American League Central as they've won their last 2 games and they've won 6 of their last 10. They now trail the Chicago White Sox by 12 games in the division. With this loss, the Minnesota Twins are now 43-60. That is the worst record in the American League Central. That is the third worst record in the American League. They've lost their last 2 games. They've lost 7 of their last 10. And at the moment, they currently trail the Chicago White Sox by 17.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Boston, the Boston Red Sox hosted the Toronto Blue Jays for a doubleheader. In Game 1, the Blue Jays would beat the Red Sox 4-1 after the Red Sox scored the first run of the game. For the Red Sox in Game 1, they'll start, and the loss went to Garrett Richards. He allowed 4 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 2. With this loss, he's 6-6 on the year. Their all-star third baseman, Rafael Devers, would go 2 for 4 as he was the only player on the team with more than 1 hit. And for the Toronto Blue Jays, the start and the win went to Robbie Ray. He allowed 1 earned run in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 8. And then the closer, the save, would go to Jordan Romano. He would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out a batter. This would be his 8th save of the season. In the Blue Jays lineup, their center fielder, George Springer, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 9th home run of the year. And the only other player on the team with more than 1 hit was their right fielder, Randall Grichuk, who went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run. He hit his 19th home run of the season yesterday. And then going into the second game of this doubleheader, it will be the Red Sox beating the Blue Jays 4-1 at home, as the Blue Jays' only run came in the 4th. For the Blue Jays in this matchup, the start and the loss went to Steven Matz. He allowed 4 earned runs in 3.1 innings pitched as he struck out 2. With this loss, Matz is 8-6. And in their batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their all-star shortstop, Bo Bichette, as he went 2 for 3 with an RBI. For the Boston Red Sox, the start went to Tanner Houck. He allowed 1 earned run in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 7. The win went to the Red Sox first relief pitcher on the day, Garrett Whitlock. Whitlock allowed no earned runs in 2 innings pitched. With this win, he's now 4-1. And their second relief pitcher, their Matt Barnes, their closer, would pick up his 23rd save of the season as he allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitch, striking out a batter. In the Red Sox batting lineup, their second baseman, Kike Hernandez, would go 2 for 3 with a run. Their all-star third baseman, Rafael Devers, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI. And then their catcher, Kevin Plevecki, would end up going 3 for 3 with a run. With this win, or with the split series, but with the second win, the Boston Red Sox are now 63-40. That is the best record in the American League East, and that is currently the best record in the American League alongside the Houston Astros, as they've won 7 of their last 10 games. They currently sit 2.5 games ahead of the second-place Tampa Bay Rays in the division, and like I said, they are tied with the Houston Astros for the number 1 seed in the American League. With this split series, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 50-48. That is the 4th best record in the American League East, as they've lost 6 of their last 10 games. They now trail the Boston Red Sox by 10.5 games in the division, and they currently trail the Oakland Athletics by 4.5 games for the second American League wildcard spot. Jumping out to Seattle, the Seattle Mariners hosted their divisional rivals, the Houston Astros. The Astros were able to pull off an 11-4 win on the road, as the only innings where the Astros didn't score were the 1st and 9th innings. They scored in every other inning in between. For the Seattle Mariners, the start and the loss went to Yusei Kikuchi. He allowed 4 runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 7. With this loss, he's 6-6 on the year. In their batting lineup, their shortstop, J.P. Crawford, would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their first baseman, Ty France, would go 2 for 4 with a run for himself as well. And then their left fielder, Shed Long Jr., would go 2 for 4. For the Houston Astros, the start and the win went to Jake Odorizzi. He allowed 3 earned runs in 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this win, Odorizzi is 4-5 on the year. In the Astros batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Jose Altuve, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their third baseman, Aldemez Diaz, would go 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run for himself. Their first baseman, Yuli Gurriel, will go 3 for 6 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 11th home run of the season. Their shortstop, Carlos Correa, will go 3 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their right fielder, Kyle Tucker, would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 20th home run of the season. And their center fielder, Miles Straw, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. With this win, the Houston Astros are now 63-40. That is the best record in the American League West. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They sit 6 games ahead of the second-place Oakland Athletics in the division, and they are now tied with the Boston Red Sox for the best record in the American League, and therefore they are tied for the number 1 seed as well. With this loss, the Seattle Mariners are now 55-48. That is the 3rd best record in the American League West. They've now lost their last 2 games, but they've only lost 4 of their last 10. At the moment, they currently trail the Houston Astros by 8 games in the division, and they trail the Oakland Athletics by 2 games for the second American League wildcard spot, as the Mariners are the first team on the outside looking in still. Jumping out to San Diego, the San Diego Padres hosted the Oakland Athletics for the matchup of the two second wild card spots. And in this matchup, the A's would beat the Padres 10-4 after scoring 7 of their 10 in the first 4 innings. For the Padres in this matchup, the start and the loss would go to their elite starting pitcher, Blake Snell. He allowed 7 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out a batter. With his loss, he's 4-4. In their batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit, as a lot of that can be attributed to great pitching from Oakland. For the Oakland Athletics, the start and the win went to Sean Manaea. Manaea allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 9. With this win, he's 8-6 on the year. In the A's batting lineup, their left fielder Mark Canha would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their elite third baseman Matt Chapman will go 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs as he hit his 13th home run of the year. Their right fielder Stephen Piscotty would go 2 for 5 with a run, and their shortstop Elvis Andrus would go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. With this win, the Oakland Athletics are now 57-46. That is the second best record in the American League West. They've won 4 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Houston Astros by 6 games in the division. And at the moment, they are currently holding on to the second American League wildcard spot as they trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 3.5 games for the first spot. And they sit 2 games ahead of the Seattle Mariners, who are the first team on the outside looking in. With this loss, the San Diego Padres are now 59-45. That is the third best record in the National League West. They've won 6 of their last 10 games as they now trail the San Francisco Giants by 5.5 games in the division. And at the moment, they are currently holding on to the second National League wildcard spot as they sit 3.5 games behind the defending champs LA Dodgers, who are currently holding on to the top spot. And they are sitting 5 games ahead of the Cincinnati Reds, who are the first team on the outside of the National League wildcard looking in. Jumping out to Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles hosted the Miami Marlins. And in this matchup, the Orioles would come back and tie. First of all, they would tie the game up at 7 going in or at the bottom of the 8th. And then it would be a walk from Ryan McKenna that would win the Orioles the game. For the Miami Marlins, the start was given to Jordan Holloway. Jordan Holloway would allow 5 runs in 2.1 innings pitched as he struck out 4. The loss for Miami would go to their closer for the day, Stephen Okert. Okert would allow 1 earned run in 0.1 inning pitched, and with this loss, he's 0-1 on the year. In their batting lineup, their shortstop, Miguel Rojas, would end up going 2 for 6 with 2 runs. Their designated hitter, Jesus Aguilar, would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs as he hit his 18th home run of the year. And their catcher, Jorge Alfaro, would go 3 for 5 on the year. For the Baltimore Orioles, the start went to Jorge Lopez. He allowed 5 earned runs in 2 innings pitched as he struck out 2. The win for Baltimore would go to their closer, Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott allowed no earned runs in 0.2 innings pitched with his win, he's now 4-4. In the Orioles batting lineup, their shortstop, Ramon Urias, would be the only player with more than 1 hit as he went 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. With this win, the Baltimore Orioles are now 35-65. That is the worst record in the American League East, the worst record in the American League, or it's also the worst record in the American League as well. They've won 7 of their last 10 games, as a matter of fact, and they've now trailed the Boston Red Sox by 26.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Miami Marlins are now 44-58. Looking at where the Marlins sits, that is currently the worst record in the National League East, as they currently hold on to the 3rd worst record in the National League, to give a sense of where the Marlins are at this very moment. And then jumping out to Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Pirates hosted the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Milwaukee Brewers were able to beat the Pirates 7-3. For the Pirates in this matchup, the start and the loss was given to Max Kranick. Kranick allowed 6 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, he's 1-2. In the Pirates batting lineup, their third baseman, Ke'Bryan Hayes, would go 2 for 3. And then their second baseman, Rodolfo Castro, would end up going 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his 4th and 5th home runs of the season. For the Milwaukee Brewers, the start and the win went to Adrian Hauser. He allowed no earned runs and only 2 hits in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 2. With this win, he's 7-5 on the year. In the Brewers batting lineup, their catcher, Omar Narvaez, would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their right fielder, Avisail Garcia, would go 3 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. And then their left fielder, Tyrone Taylor, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 60-42. That is the best record in the National League Central, as they've won their last 2 games and they've won 7 of their last 10. They currently sit 7 games ahead of the Cincinnati Reds in their division, as they are currently holding on to the 2nd seed in the National League, sitting behind the San Francisco Giants and sitting ahead of the New York Mets. With this loss, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 38-63. That is the worst record in the National League Central, and that's the 2nd worst record in the National League. They've lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10, and at the moment, they now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 21.5 games in the division. Jumping out to New York, the New York Mets, the leaders of the National League East, hosted the Atlanta Braves, the reigning NL East champions. And after the game was tied at 1, it would be a Brandon Drury home run to put the Nets above to give them their 54th win of the year. For the Atlanta Braves, the start and the loss went to Max Fried. Max Fried allowed 2 earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 9. With this loss, Max Fried is 7-7. In the Braves batting lineup, their elite second baseman Ozzie Albies would go 2 for 4. Then the only other player with more than 1 hit was their left fielder, Abraham Almonte. He went 2 for 4 on the day, as the Braves had 9 hits to go along with their 1 run. They just were not able to bring anyone home. For the New York Mets, the start was given to Tyler McGill. McGill would allow 1 earned run in 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out 6. The win for New York went to their second relief pitcher, Trevor May. Trevor May would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out 2, and the save went to Edwin Diaz. He allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as that was save number 23 of the season. In their batting lineup, their second baseman, Jeff McNeil, was the only player with more than 1 hit as he went 2 for 4 with an RBI. With this win, the New York Mets are now 54-46. That is the best record in the National League East. They've won 6 of their last 10 games as they sit 4 games ahead of the second-place Philadelphia Phillies in the division. And right now, they're holding the 3rd seed in the National League playoff picture as they trail the San Francisco Giants out of the West and the Milwaukee Brewers out of the Central. With this loss, the Atlanta Braves are now 50-52. That is the 3rd best record in the National League East. They've lost 5 of their last 10 as they now trail the New York Mets by 5 games in the division. Jumping out to Tampa Bay, the reigning American League champs hosted the New York Yankees, and the Yankees were able to beat the Rays 3-1 in extra innings thanks to an Aaron Judge single and then a wild pitch from Andrew Kittredge. For the Rays in this matchup, the start went to Michael Wacha. He allowed 1 run in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 9. The loss for Tampa Bay would go to their relief pitcher, Pete Fairbanks, as he allowed 1 earned run and 2 total runs without registering an out. With this loss, he's 3-4 on the year. In their batting lineup, nobody on the team would register more than 1 hit, and a lot of that can be attributed to great New York Yankees pitching. The start for New York would go to Nestor Cortes. Cortes would allow 1 earned run in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 5. The win would go to their 3rd relief pitcher, Chad Green, as Green allowed no earned runs in 1 hit. With this win, he's 4-5 on the year. And the save would go to Aroldis Chapman, who allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out 2. This would be his 20th save of the year. And in their batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit in that aspect. But Gleyber Torres would pick up his 13th double of the season. With this win, the New York Yankees are now 53-47. That is the 3rd best record in the American League East as they've won their last 2 games and they've won 7 of their last 10. They currently trail the Boston Red Sox by 8.5 games in the division, and they currently trail the Oakland Athletics by 2.5 games for the 2nd American League wildcard spot. With this loss, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 60-42. That is the 2nd best record in the American League East. And they are tied with the Chicago White Sox for the 3rd best record in the American League. They've now lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 4 of their last 10. At the moment, they trail the Boston Red Sox by 2.5 games in the division, but they are holding on to the top American League wildcard spot as they sit 3.5 games ahead of the 2nd place Oakland Athletics. Jumping out to Wrigley Field, the Chicago Cubs hosted their division rivals, their divisional matchup, the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds would end up winning this game 8-2 as the Cubs would score their 2 games after the Reds had already scored their 8th in the top of the 9th. For the Cubs, the start and the loss would go to Zach Davies. He allowed 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 8. With this loss, he's 6-7 on the year. In their batting lineup, their 3rd baseman, Patrick Wisdom, would go 2 for 4, and their shortstop, Nico Horner, would go 2 for 3. For the Cincinnati Reds, the start and the win went to Tyler Mahle. He allowed no earned runs in 5 hits in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 2. With this win, Mahle is 8-3 on the season. In the Reds batting lineup, their left fielder, Jesse Winker, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. And then their first baseman, Joey Votto, would continue his home run streak as he went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. Joey Votto would go on to hit his 18th and 19th home runs of the season yesterday. And then their shortstop, Kyle Farmer, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Cincinnati Reds are now 53 and 49. That is the second best record in the National League Central. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 5 of their last 10. They now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 7 games in the division, and they are now sitting 5 games behind the second-place San Diego Padres in the National League wildcard picture. With this loss, the Chicago Cubs are now 50 and 53. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central, as they've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 10.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Dallas, the Texas Rangers hosted the Arizona Diamondbacks, the holders of the worst record in baseball. And the Diamondbacks were able to get yet another win on the Rangers after beating them 3-2. They would end up tying the game in the 7th inning off of an Andrew Young sacrifice fly, and it would be a Dalton Varsho solo home run in the top of the 8th to give the Diamondbacks the lead that they would keep to the end. For the Texas Rangers, the start went to Jordan Lyles. Lyles allowed 2 earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 6. The loss would go to the Rangers' first relief pitcher, Brett Martin. Martin allowed 1 earned run in 1 inning pitch as he struck out a batter. With this loss, he's 2-3 on the season. In their batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. And then for the Arizona Diamondbacks, however, the start and the win went to Madison Bumgarner. He allowed 2 earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this win, he's 5-6. The save was given to Tyler Clippard. Clippard allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitches. He struck out 2. That was his first save of the year. And nobody on the Diamondbacks would finish with more than 1 hit, as David Peralta and Dalton Varsho would go 1 for 1 with solo home runs. With this win, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 32 and 71. That is the worst record in the National League, and that's currently the worst record in all of baseball. They've won 6 of their last 10 games as they now trail the San Francisco Giants by 32 games in the division. That's the gap. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are now 36 and 66. That is the worst record in the American League West, and that is the second worst record in the American League, not by much. They've lost 9 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Houston Astros by 26.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Kansas City, the Kansas City Royals hosted the Chicago White Sox. They were able to pull up a 3-2 win at home in the 10th inning. First off, they were able to tie it. Well, they were trailing 2-0. Jorge Soler's double would put them down 1 in the 7th. In the bottom of the 9th, Salvador Perez's home run would tie the game, and it would be Michael A. Taylor's single to give the Royals the win. For the Chicago White Sox in this matchup, the start went to Lucas Giolito. He allowed 1 earned run in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 7. The loss, however, would go to the White Sox closer for the day, Ryan Burr, sir. He allowed 1 run in .2 innings pitched, and with this loss, he's 2-1. In the White Sox batting lineup, their left fielder Andrew Vaughn was the only player with more than 1 hit as he went 2 for 3 with a run. For the Kansas City Royals, the start went to Kris Bubic. Kris Bubic would allow 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitches. He struck out 3. The win would go to the Royals closer for the day, who in this matchup was Scott Barlow. Scott Barlow would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitches. He struck out 2. With this win, he's now 3-3 on the season. In their batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Salvador Perez, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs as he hit his 24th home run of the season. With this win, the Kansas City Royals are now 44 and 56. That is the 4th best record in the American League Central. They've won 7 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Chicago White Sox by 15 games in the division. With this loss, the Chicago White Sox are now 60 and 42. That is still the best record in the American League Central as they've lost 6 of their last 10 games. They sit 8.5 games ahead of the second-place Cleveland Indians in the division, and they are currently holding on to the 3rd spot in the American League as they trail the Houston Astros of the West and the Boston Red Sox of the East. Jumping out to Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels hosted the Colorado Rockies. In this matchup, the Angels would beat the Rockies at home 8-7 after they scored 5 of their 8 in the 4th inning. For the Colorado Rockies, the start was given to their starting pitcher for the day, Lucas Gilbreth. Gilbreth would allow 1 earned run in 1 inning pitch, and the loss was given to the Rockies closer for the day, Carlos Estevez. Estevez would allow 1 earned run in 1 inning pitch as he struck out a batter. With his loss, Estevez is 2-3 on the year. For the Rockies in their batting lineup, Ray Tapia will go 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. And then their first baseman, Josh Fuentes, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs. For the LA Angels, the start was given to Andrew Heaney. Heaney would allow 3 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 8. And the win would go to the Angels closer for the day, Raisel Iglesias. Iglesias would allow no earned runs in 1.2 inning pitched, and he would pick up his 5th blown save of the season, but with this win, he's 7-4. In the Angels' batting lineup, their all-star designated hitter, Shohei Ohtani, would go 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his 37th home run of the season. Their first baseman, Phil Gosselin, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run for himself. And those are the only 2 players on the Angels with more than 1 hit. With this win, the Los Angeles Angels are now 51-50. That is the 4th best record in the American League West. They've won 5 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Houston Astros by 11 games in the division. With this loss, the Colorado Rockies are now 44-58. That is the 4th best record in the National League West. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games, and they now trail the San Francisco Giants by 19.5 games in the division. Last but not least, the San Francisco Giants hosted the defending World Series champs LA Dodgers. The Dodgers were able to completely blank and shut out the Giants 8-0 this game. For the Giants, the start and the loss went to Anthony DeSclafani. He allowed 4 earned runs in 2.2 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, he's 10-5 on the year, and nobody on the Giants would finish with more than 1 hit. A lot of that can be attributed to great Dodgers pitching. The start and the win went to birthday boy Walker Buehler, their elite starting pitcher who allowed no earned runs in 7 innings pitched and struck out 8. With this win, Walker Buehler is now 11-1 on the year. In their batting lineup, there's all-star second baseman Max Muncy would end up going 3 for 6 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their catcher Will Smith would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their elite first baseman, former National League MVP Cody Bellinger, would go 1 for 5 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 5th home run of the year. And then their center fielder, A.J. Pollock, would end up going 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Los Angeles Dodgers are now 62-41. That is the 2nd best record in the National League West. They've won 4 of their last 10 games as they now trail the San Francisco Giants by 2 games in the division. And at the moment, they are holding on to the top National League wildcard spot as they sit 3.5 games ahead of the 2nd place San Diego Padres. Right now, that is what baseball is looking like as we transition to what's going on today. Starting with the doubleheader that's going to be taking place in Philly. The Philadelphia Phillies are going to host the Washington Nationals. At 12:05, Zach Wheeler is going to host the Nats. Zach Wheeler is holding an 8-5 record alongside a 2.37 ERA. And in the second matchup of this game, Vince Velasquez will take the mound for Philly, and Patrick Corbin will take the mound for Washington. At 12:10, Taijuan Walker and the New York Mets are going to host Drew Smyly and the Atlanta Braves. Taijuan Walker will take the mound with a 7-4 record and a 3.43 ERA at this point. At 1:10 on ESPN+, Luis Patino and the Tampa Bay Rays are going to host the New York Yankees, led by their elite starting pitcher, Garrett Cole. Cole comes into this matchup with a 10-5 record alongside a 2.74 ERA. At 2:10, Carlos Hernandez and the Kansas City Royals are going to host Carlos Rodon and the Chicago White Sox. Rodon is currently holding an 8-4 record alongside a 2.24 ERA. At 2:20, Alec Mills and the Chicago Cubs are going to host Luis Castillo and the Cincinnati Reds. At 3:45, Johnny Cueto and the San Francisco Giants are going to host David Price and the defending World Series champs LA Dodgers. David Price comes into this matchup with a 4-0 record and a 3.35 ERA. At 7:05, Chad Kuhl and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Freddie Peralta and the Milwaukee Brewers. Freddie Peralta is currently holding a 7-3 record alongside a 3.29 ERA, or beside a 2.29 ERA. At 7:10, the Detroit Tigers, led by Casey Mize, are going to host Alexander Wells and the Baltimore Orioles. Casey Mize comes into this matchup with a 5-5 record and a 3.63 ERA. At 7:10, the same time, Eduardo Rodriguez and the Boston Red Sox are going to host the Toronto Blue Jays, led by their elite starting pitcher, Hyunjin Ryu. Ryu comes into this matchup with a 9-5 record and a 3.44 ERA. At 9:38, Alex Cobb and the Los Angeles Angels are going to host Frankie Montas and the Oakland Athletics. Alex Cobb comes into this matchup with a 7-3 record and a 3.82 ERA. And then at 10:10, Joe Musgrove and the San Diego Padres are going to host Kyle Freeland and the Colorado Rockies. Joe Musgrove enters this matchup with a 3.13 ERA and a 6-7 record. That's what baseball's looking like. Taking a quick look at what's going on with the Olympics. Before then, I must point out that the semifinals for the CONCACAF Gold Cup are today. Qatar faces off against against USA at 7:30, and Mexico faces off against Canada at 10 o'clock. And then looking at what's going on in the Olympics, just looking at the gold medalists starting from the top. In terms of 3v3 basketball, the men's gold medal went to Latvia and the women's gold medal went to the United States. For the cycling men's road time trial, the gold went to Primoz Roglic of Slovenia. And then for the women's road time trial, it went to Annemiek van Vleuten of the Netherlands. For the diving event of men's synchronized 3-meter springboard, the gold medal went to China. For the equestrian event of individual dressage, the gold medal went to Jessica von Bredow-Verdel of Germany, and silver also was to Germany as well. Going to fencing and men's team saber, the win would end up going to the team of South Korea. Looking at the men's all-around gymnastics competition, the gold medal went to Daiki Hashimoto of Japan. At judo, for men's 90 kilogram, the gold went to Lasha Bakari of Georgia. And for the women's 70 kilogram event, the gold medal will go to Chizuru Arai of Japan. Looking at the rowing events, in the men's 4, the gold medal will go to Australia. For the men's double sculls, which is the which is, I believe, the two oars, the gold medal went to France. For men's quadruple sculls, the gold went to Netherlands. For the women's 4, the gold medal will go to Australia, just like the men's did. For women's double sculls, the gold will go to Romania. And for the women's quadruple sculls, the gold will go to China, as China broke the record by 2 seconds. And men's rugby sevens, the gold medal went to Fiji, as they were able to beat New Zealand in the gold medal game. In the swimming events, looking at the men's 200-meter butterfly, gold medal went to Christoph Milak of Hungary. Looking at the men's 4x200-meter freestyle relay, the gold medal went to Great Britain. In the women's 1,500-meter freestyle, the first time that they've ever held this event for women, Katie Ledecky would take home the gold medal for the United States. In the women's 200-meter freestyle, the gold medal will go to Ariarne Titmus of Australia. In the women's 200-meter individual medley, the gold will go to Yui Ohashi of Japan. Going to weightlifting, starting with men's 73 kilogram, the gold went to Zhiyong Shi of China. And those were the gold medals, at least from the 5th day. And like I said earlier, because the time difference is, it's at the point where some events from day 6 have already been played, but I'm going to take it day by day as the Olympic schedule shows it. With that said, I want to thank everyone once again for listening to all 32 minutes of this piece. I want to thank Bleacher Report, the Olympic websites, the MLB websites, ESPN for giving me the facts and figures that I need. And with all of today's matchups and performances and draft are done, I will come back tomorrow with another episode of The Elite. And until then, thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well. Once again, today is Thursday, July 29th, 2021 in this quarantine. I hope all is well. Thanks for listening to my piece, and peace out. I'll catch you tomorrow.